considered the most profound and prolific writer in the history of mankind. Many scholars have devoted their lives to reading, criticizing, and interpreting his work. Most renowned, of course, is Harold Bloom.
Yes, I have dedicated my life to these plays, and I am proud to be releasing my most comprehensive work, Harold Bloom's Blooms, the true meaning of Shakespeare.
Bloom's work has been so revered that he has his own following of scholars who are dedicated to reading, criticizing, and interpreting his reading, criticizing, and interpreting of Shakespeare. Most notable of those is, of course, Dr. Tony Randolph, the world's leading Bloom Shakespeare scholar.
I have dedicated my life to Bloom's dedication to Shakespeare, and I'm proud to announce my new work, The True Meaning of Blooms, the True Meaning of Shakespeare. In it, I expose the hidden secrets of Bloom's expose of Shakespeare's hidden secrets.
Randolph's work has become so popular that even he has garnered his own school of scholars. Most notable is Benny Finnegan, who has published the definitive work concerning Randolph's definitive criticism of Bloom's definitive criticism of Shakespeare.
What I think Randolph really meant when he said that Bloom meant that Shakespeare meant to hide his meaning in Measure for Measure was that Randolph was hiding his meaning from Bloom in order to expose the true meaning of Bloom's meaning when discussing Measure for Measure's meaning. Included in this is my postulation that Bloom has written so many essays on Shakespeare that Bloom must actually be multiple authors using the pen name of Harold Bloom, a secret nom de plume used by multiple authors, one of whom is Randolph! It's all discussed here in my new work, Finnegan's Essential Critique of Randolph's Critique of Bloom's Critique of Shakespeare's Measure for Measure's Critique of Criticism.
So, Mr. Finnegan, you have dedicated your life to the study of Shakespeare.
Wrong! I have dedicated my life to reading Randolph's reading of Bloom's reading of Shakespeare. Personally, I would never study Shakespeare. I do not think that he was a genius. I think Randolph was a genius for thinking that Bloom was a genius for showing us the true genius of Shakespeare, who I believe was not a genius, but who is key in showing us the true genius of Randolph's genius about Bloom's genius, which is the true genius of Shakespeare.
And he shook the world. For Harold Bloom himself read Finnegan's critique on Randolph's criticism of Bloom's reading of Shakespeare and was so enthralled that he decided to write another critique.
In my final work, Harold Bloom's There Is No Harold Bloom, I surmise that Shakespeare does not exist, but is in fact an invention of myself, Harold Bloom, and furthermore. Based on Finnegan's ingenuity in revealing Randolph's genius, I can now safely say that I, Harold Bloom, am in fact a team of scholars which include Finnegan and Randolph, who invented Shakespeare for the glorification of myself, Harold Bloom, even though I am not Harold Bloom, because he is Finnegan and Randolph. And that is the true genius of Shakespeare.
Join us next week when we discuss Tom Stoppard's new translation of Beckett's criticism of Proust's adaptation of a dance interpretation as choreographed by Goethe based on Yeats' analysis of T.S. Eliot's grocery list.